Guess who totally forgot to turn off their speakers? All right. Ah. Hey, Tyrion. Yeah, that was like a lot of these. I just kind of had to go on vibes. Congratulations on the 200 and 205 watch streak. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and start. So, yep. Whoops. Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Lolo De Puzlo Journal. Today I don't have any housekeeping. That's the word. So so we might as well just kind of go straight into what we're doing. Which is last time we started our journal in earnest. And we got through Portopia, but also we started a look at this. Which is Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective. Something I forgot to mention about this is actually the fact that this is based on like not a board game, but it's based on a game book. So like, like it's just a game that you play with the book. I don't know much on it because it seems like it's kind of hard to get a copy of it now. I don't know if anyone's got the rights to it, but apparently this is based on a actual like pen and paper book. So there's that. There it came with like a number of other books, so you kind of have to do some cross referencing, and things like that. So I figured I'd mention that because it's why that's what Sleuth Publishing is on the top right screen. So last time when we started, we looked actually at the Sega CD version. And I actually poked around at it. Apparently, I did the save game system completely wrong. So I didn't end up saving. So I think what actually we're going to do this time is we are going to actually look at the Turbo CD version proper. Which, as we'll see, there's not that much difference. However, let's look at the introduction because we'll see one part of the major difference kind of off the bat.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls trying to survive, mostly off of each other. You see it in the paper every day. Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye and razor-sharp accuracy. We find this publication to be of invaluable assistance in our investigations, and I'm sure you will as well. Among the forces of evil which run rampant in this city, there are also, thankfully, two groups of individuals who will aid us in our cause. As we do, they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London. The first of these groups is a ragtag association of young ruffians. I call them the Baker Street Irregulars. Don't let them fool you. They may be scruffy and ill-bred, but they are on the right side of the law. They can go everywhere, see everything, and overhear everyone. They are my eyes and ears in the streets of London, unquestionably a tremendous asset in our work. They will help us in our investigations if they can. The other group is a far more civilized collection of gentlemen and institutions. I call them the Baker Street Regulars. They, too, will be extremely useful in our work. At the start of any investigation, do keep in mind that it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Unwittingly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. The people and places to whom I will now introduce you will help us to collect the facts. May we use them wisely. Come, the game's afoot.
So, Turbo CD has also not great video quality, but Also, let me try and get. Okay, I think that should be there. Video quality not that great. But it is apparently slightly better than the Seg CD version. But yes, it is not great, but it's kind of similar. Although I've heard that apparently it's I couldn't tell exactly what the difference is, but apparently it is slightly smoother overall. But we'll see. So we are actually going to do. I actually did this out of order, because I have a surprise for when we do the Misfied Murderess. Let's do a Tin Soldier.
May we be of some assistance, Inspector Smythe?
General Farnsworth Armstead, one of the 6 surviving Waterloo Tontine ticket holders, has been murdered.
Waterloo Tontine?
The Waterloo Tontine was a lottery of sorts, Watson. It was set up in 1815 to aid the veterans of the Battle of Waterloo. Wellington's victory over Napoleon.
Yes, of course, I knew that.
Quite an ingenious plan on the part of the founders. £1 bought a ticket in the name of some young relative. The ticket proceeds amounted to over £1 million. Half went immediately to veterans and their families for medical and hardship expenses.
What became of the other half?
It all went into an account at the Bank of England, where it's been collecting interest all these years.
Very clever. And how does one win this prize?
Simply by outliving all the other ticket holders.
And now you say one of them has been murdered. Very suspicious. Who are the remaining 5?
The oldest is Captain Robert Jurgens, age 82. Then there are Anita and Claire Thomas, who are 80-year-old twins. William Rowland is 79, and Peter Dudley is 77. Poor General Armstead was the youngest at 74.
Seems as if he would have had the best chance to outlive the others.
I recall reading something in the Times about a big to-do involving the Tontine survivors on the 18th.
That's correct. The Waterloo Anniversary Banquet at the Langham Hotel.
Why is the name Armstead familiar?
He was a noted art collector, I believe. He also authored a well-known book, Treasures of the Conquerors.
Quite right. At the time of his death, General Armstead was working on a revised edition for his publisher, Norgate and Company. It was to contain an entirely new chapter on a fabulous diamond called the Polar Star, which at one point belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother. The general had new information which traced the gem to its present owner.
Tell me about the circumstances of General Armstead's death.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, let me see. At 10 o'clock this morning, the general's valet, David Sennett, admitted a caller to the general's study. Sennett says he did not know the man. He was elderly and spoke with a French accent. Sennett told him the general never saw anyone in the morning while he was at work. The gentleman insisted that if Armstead read the letter he had with him, he would make an exception. And so it was. Sennett took the letter in, Armstead read it, and went quite pale. He told Sennett to let the gentleman in. Sensing something amiss, Sennett dawdled in the area of the study for the next 15 minutes or so. Then he heard the distinct sound of swordplay. He tried to enter the study, but found the door locked. Then he heard the crash of breaking glass. He raced to the kitchen and out the back door to enter the study from the garden. By the time he got there, the caller had vanished, and the general was leaning heavily against a shattered display case of military miniatures. Before Sennett could assist him, he dropped a saber from his hand and fell over dead.
And I take it the letter, which so upset the general, was nowhere to be found.
Correct, Mr. Holmes.
Well, we shall put our brains and our feet to the task.
Okay. So we got a slightly different interface in this time, but it's mostly the same stuff. Oh, they only give you. Do they only give you the days that are actually appropriate? Huh. Let's see. Personals. Okay, let's see. Live ostriches, don't care. Okay. Yeah, so I tried to do mouse support on either version, and for some reason it doesn't work. There were computer versions of these games. Nope. Nope, that's not it. Let's try this. Okay, Spain. Nope. No. Hmm. Let's see. No, that doesn't seem to be it. Thank you, Viper, for the raid. I hope you enjoyed hockeying and rockying. Oh, there's more foreign colonial news. Nope. It's the same thing. We are playing Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective for the Turbo CD. We are looking into the murder of someone who was involved in a taunting of surviving members from the Battle of Waterloo. Um, nope, that's not it. Oh, right. Hmm.
Bitches leave.
I think Rondo's come out in a while. Okay, there must have been. Okay, that's the sewing thing. Okay. You'll give me one sec. Okay, so let's start by visiting. Let's see, can we visit the farmstead? Right.
I found the general leaning over the display case. He had his saber in hand, the one that usually resides above the fireplace.
I understand he was a collector of military figures.
Yes, the display in the study shows the last great British charge that swept the French from Waterloo.
Is there any significance to the fact that the figure of Napoleon is facing backward?
How strange. Perhaps I should go and set it straight.
No, don't touch it. Not until the police have concluded their investigation.
Oh, yes, of course.
I also noticed the portrait over the display case.
The late Mrs. Armstead.
Do I detect a note of hostility?
I must admit we did not get on very well. But I might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on very well with anyone, including the general.
You mean they didn't marry for love?
Hardly. Lord Fitch, Mrs. Armstead's father, arranged the match. Her dowry was very generous. Lord Fitch would have paid any amount to ensure that he would not be left with a spinster daughter, especially such a nasty one.
If there was no love lost between them, why did he keep her portrait in his study?
Actually, it was put up there to needle Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. He never approved of the marriage. Even after her death, they were involved with mutual business affairs. They jointly owned stock or some such thing.
Tell me, do you know what the general was doing at the time the intruder arrived?
Yes, he was working on the new section of his book. The part that concerns the gem, the Polar Star. It was very interesting, really. It traces the ownership of the to the Russian Count Rostov. Unfortunately, the gem was stolen from the Count 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, the general received a letter from a Pierre Montan who said that he was willing to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee.
Do you know where Mr. Montan might be found?
Oh. I just realized that's completely from the back. Hey, Brigadier. Okay, we're stopping that video. Actually, you know what? Now that we've seen this version, since it was working fairly well with the other version, let's just go back to the second CD version. Whoops. No, we're not playing Panic. Or Prince of Persia, excuse me.
Check it out.
Thank you for the pets.
May we be of some assistance, Inspector Smythe?
General Farnsworth Armstead, one of the 6 surviving Waterloo Tontine ticket holders, has been murdered.
Waterloo Tontine?
The Waterloo Tontine was a lottery of sorts, Watson. It was set up in 1815 to aid the veterans of...
Okay, so I can see that the video quality on this one is a little bit muddier.
I knew that. Quite an ingenious plan on the part of the founders.
But it's really not that different. Okay, let's try that video again. This interface does seem much smoother, though, and we'll give it that.
I found the general leaning over the display case. He had his saber in hand, the one that usually resides above the fireplace.
I understand he was a collector of military figures.
Yes, the display in the study shows the last great British charge that swept the French from Waterloo.
Is there any significance to the fact that the figure of Napoleon is facing backward?
How strange. Perhaps I should go and set it straight.
No, don't touch it. Not until the police have concluded their investigation.
Oh, yes, of course.
I also noticed the portrait over the display case.
The late Mrs. Armstead.
Do I detect a note of hostility?
I must admit we did not get on very well. But I might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on very well with anyone, including the General.
You mean they didn't marry for love?
Hardly. Lord Fitch, Mrs. Armstead's father, arranged the match. Her dowry was very generous. Lord Fitch would have paid any amount to ensure that he would not be left with a spinster daughter, especially such a nasty one.
If there was no love lost between them, why did he keep her portrait in his study?
Actually, it was put up there to needle Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. He never approved of the marriage. Even after her death, they were involved with mutual business affairs. They jointly owned stock or some such thing.
Tell me, do you know what the General was doing at the time the intruder arrived?
Yes, he was working on the new section of his book. The part that concerns the gem, the Polar Star, was very interesting, really. It traces the ownership of the gem to the brother of Napoleon, to the Russian Count Rostov. Unfortunately, the gem was stolen from the Count 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, the General just received a letter from a Pierre Montan, who said that he was willing to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee.
Do you know where Mr. Montan might be found?
I believe he's staying at the Bridge House Hotel.
Did the General have any encounters with anyone out of the ordinary in the past several days?
Not really. An old friend of his has been in town, Jean-Paul Girard. Neither the General nor I have seen him in 40 years. In fact, they were going to meet this afternoon at the French embassy.
I'm obviously curious about the General's last visitor. Could you describe him, please?
He was an old man, a rather short fellow. He walked with a cane and carried a carpetbag.
Did he give a name?
No. He simply wanted to see the General, and he handed me a letter to take into him.
Did you read it?
No. It was in an envelope, rather yellowed with age, though I noticed it was addressed in a graceful hand to Captain Armstead, 12th Hussars, the General's old regiment. When the General read it, he went very pale. Then he asked me to admit the gentleman.
Tell me, when you finally got into the room from the garden, were the study doors still locked?
Yes.
I noticed that there is an 8-foot fence surrounding the garden, and that the only way into the garden or out of it is through the kitchen door or the study.
How terribly observant, Holmes.
All right. Okay, let's see. Well, I suppose we can try and... Oh, right. It would be... Shoot, where was he staying? Actually, wait. Can I do hotels? Yes. Because of Bridge House.
How in the world did you hear about it so soon, Mr. Holmes? The body's still warm. Couldn't have happened more than 10 minutes ago.
Body? What body?
Well, the one what's upstairs in 203.
We're here for something else, actually. Looking for Pierre Martin.
Well, that's the very fellow what was done in.
Well, tell me, young man, do you know what transpired?
Well, Mr. Martin checked into the hotel on the 8th. He was a Frenchman. I didn't speak to him much.
Who discovered the body?
I did. Well, I came along to his room to deliver a wire. Here it is, sir.
Information still valuable. See me, Wells, Osborne, Norgate and Company, publishers. Tell me, did you see anyone suspicious hanging about?
No. No, sir. Well, actually, now that I think about it, there was a rather large man with a foreign accent, Russian, I think. He said that he wasn't sure about the address and that he'd only just arrived in London. He asked for Mr. Martin, and I sent him straight up. Well, He was rather well-spoken and well-mannered. I didn't think anything of it at the time. A few minutes later, he came down. He was practically running. I saw him go out the front door and hail a cab.
Was there anything amiss in the room?
I'll say. An inkwell was toppled on its side, left an awful mess on the carpet. Big blue spots and inky footprints right the way to the door. The manager will be in a fret when he sees it. Fortunately, there was no blood.
Perhaps he was strangled.
Hmm. Okay, let's go. Was it under publishing? No. Oh, there it is.
What did you learn, Watson?
Not a thing,
Okay.
Holmes.
You learned nothing?
Don't get testy, Holmes. There wasn't anyone about.
Okay. Well, time to send the... Let's see, got any files on them? Also, okay, Osborne. Wait, did the clue have an N at the end or an E at the end?
Pity.
Damn.
It appears that no one is in.
Okay, time to get the regulars after him. We try. Okay. Yeah, they don't put the E at the end. Okay, let's get the irregulars after the company then. So yeah, Matthew was supposed to give him Rostov. I take it that he's not going to be. Hmm. Well, we can try. Right, the regular but never produce. Well, we can try. Oops.
Sorry, Holmes. No information here.
Hmm. This seems like a job for their irregulars. Let's see, our necklace. Okay. Hmm. Oh, right, we can try the brother.
I admit I strongly disliked Armstead. He was the cad who made my sister's life miserable. I argued at length with my father against the marriage, but to no avail.
But what was your sister's opinion at the time?
Well, unfortunately, Mary was not the attractive sort who had scores of suitors. My father was afraid she'd be left a spinster. The engagement was arranged just before Armstead went to France. During the year he was gone, I had him watched and discovered he was in the thick of some scandal involving a young French girl.
And you told your father?
Well, he wouldn't listen. I even went so far as to give the story to the newspapers. But my father got wind of it and used his influence to prevent its publication. I would have done anything to keep my sister away from that man.
Including murder?
Why, that's preposterous. Well, surely you don't think... I was scheduled to meet with Armstead today, but you see, my wife took ill. I spent the whole morning attending to her here until Dr. Ainstree arrived at around 11 o'clock.
Let's see. Can you vouch? Was it Amistry, I believe? See, this is also a fun thing that's a bit of a difficulty about this game, is the fact that you have to, like, make sure you're, like spelling the name correctly in your head.
We understand you were summoned to Lord Fitch's residence this morning.
Quite right. I received the message at around 9 o'clock and arrived at their home by 10. Lord Fitch met me at the door.
Does it say whether he stayed or not? Let's see. Actually, yeah, we can, let's see. What does Scotland Yard have to say about this? Or what does Lestrade have to say about this?
Do you people have nothing better to do with your time than to interfere in police matters? Well, don't bother with this one. We have the matter under control. I've compiled a list of suspects, which you may not see. I intend to ask each one for an alibi, and the suspect unable to supply one is our killer. Quite scientific, really. Now, off with you.
Right. Okay, what about... Was it Pike? Was it Pike that was the...
The good general married into a considerable fortune when he took Lord Finch's spinster daughter, Mary, off his hands. Mary's brother, the present Lord Finch, was opposed to the marriage from the very beginning, and there was still considerable friction between him and the general. But through holdings which the general inherited from Mary, he and his former brother-in-law were in business together. Ah, the ironies of life, eh?
Why do you think Malcolm Fitch was so opposed to the marriage?
Well, I'm not sure, but it had something to do with the general's reputation with the ladies. Of course, this was before my time. Now, I'm not certain he can be of any help to you, but you might want to check with my illustrious predecessor, Mr. Lloyd Shoemaker.
I'll make a note of that.
You know, of course, the general wrote a book about art collectors and included some less than chivalrous details about how a few of them had come by their collections. One man, Carson Cabot, a gem collector, was quite incensed by being so named. In fact, he accosted Armstead and fractured the general's collarbone.
I understand that the general was going to include a chapter on the Polar Star diamond in his revised book. Would you happen to know if Cabot had anything to do with that particular gem?
Well, I can't be certain, but being the collector he is, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't already have it in his possession.
Well, that's something to look up. There's a really weird accelerate, like, I don't know how easy it is to, like, display or, like, trying to convey this without actually feeling it yourself. There's a really weird momentum to your cursor.
Can I help you, Mr. Holmes?
Mr. Cabot, I'm looking for the murderer of General Farnsworth Armstead. Where were you this morning?
You don't beat around the bush, do you?
Not if I can avoid it.
Well, it so happens I've been at home all morning.
Yes, I can see that.
Well, of course you can.
Either you've been at home all morning, or there's some other good reason why you are still attired in your bedroom slippers.
Okay. Hmm. All right. Let's see. There a... It's real good. Trying to see. Trying to... Let me check something real quick. Try to see if you can find the other people that are in the haunting.
How unfortunate. There's not a soul in sight.
Pity.
Hmm.
Would you care for some tea?
Thank you, no.
It's really quite good. We were just going to have some ourselves.
I really won't be staying long.
We get visitors so seldom.
Did you know the General?
We suppose he was at the last anniversary banquet. But we don't believe we ever met him. We were so sorry to hear of his death. It is such a pity.
Well, so, I imagine you ladies have thought about what you'd do if you won the tontine money.
We have no living relatives, so there's no one
to share it with should we win.
We need very little to get by on. Undoubtedly, we would leave it to
The Ladies' League for the Preservation of Finches.
They're the murderers. Calling it. They're the ones that are orchestrating this entire thing. Okay.
All this way and not a clue to help.
Hmm. You're right. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's nothing to... Okay. Who was Dudley?
It appears that they've just left. There are fresh footsteps retreating from the front door.
But look, Holmes, there are also some coming towards the door.
Terribly observant, Watson. However, the prints you are looking at belong to us.
Hmm. Oh, actually, can we go? Will I remember what the book's name is?
The librarian was kind enough to write down all the information. Evidently, tontine comes from the name of Lorenzo Tonti, the Neapolitan banker who introduced the system into France in the 17th century. The Battle of Waterloo took place on June 18th, 1815. It is so named because it took place near the town of Waterloo in Belgium. The combined British and Prussian forces routed Napoleon's army, proved to be his final and worst defeat.
Dear Watson, whatever would I do without you?
Heaven only knows, Holmes.
Hmm. Okay. Let's check up Quentin Hall because he's the writer of that book.
General Armstead. Believe I know that name in connection with the Polar Star Diamond. Believe it was once owned by the Russian Count Rostov, some rich old duffer. Towards the end of '87, somebody pinched it.
Do you happen to know who?
Nobody knows for certain, mind you, but the word on the street was the thief was a Frenchie by the name of Andre Martin. Had quite a reputation as a jewel thief, he did, though his reputation was based mostly on rumor. Just before the Polar Star was lifted, he had been seen in St. Petersburg. A few months later, his body was found floating in the Thames.
Drowned?
No, he had been strangled. The crime was never solved, and the diamond was never found.
Hmm.
Can you tell us what did him in, Sir Jasper?
A sword through the heart, a smart upward thrust.
Right. Okay, so I know how to use a sword.
I'm here regarding the Armstead case. I take it this is the saber he had in his hand at the time of his death?
Aye, indeed it is. A lovely thing to behold, isn't it? Unfortunately, it yielded very little evidence. The top half had traces of dust all along it, indicating it had been unused for quite some time. I did notice on the point a tiny amount of fresh blood. The general must have scratched his opponent. I'm sorry, Whitson. That's all the information to be gathered from this beautiful masterpiece.
Hmm.
That's Watson, sir. Watson.
Hmm. Let's see, did we do this one already?
The good general married into a considerable fortune when he took Lord Finch's spinster daughter, Mary, off his hands. Mary's brother, the present Lord Finch, was opposed to the marriage from the very beginning, and there was still considerable friction
yes.
between him and the general. But through holdings which the general inherited from Mary, he and his former brother-in-law were in business together. Ah, the irony is...
Okay, and then from that we got
Langdale Pike told us you might be able to help us.
And how is Langdale these days? Has he lost his job? Or perhaps you're here to tell me that he's succumbing to some rare disease.
Oh, heavens, no. You'll be happy to know he's in the very pink of health.
Oh, I'm sure you have no idea how that makes me feel.
Mr. Shoemaker, the reason we're here is to ask about General Farnsworth Armstead and the circumstances of his marriage to Mary Fitch. Have you any recollections that might help us?
Ah, Miss Mary Fitch. As I remember it, Lord Fitch was in a dither to marry off his daughter. Auction off might be more appropriate, actually.
And Armstead was the highest bidder?
Suffice it to say that despite a reputation as a randy-dandy, Armstead's career prospects were bright, and that seemed to be enough of a recommendation for Lord Fitch. The girl's brother was very much against the match and did everything he could to break it up. Soon after the engagement was announced, Armstead went on a tour of duty in France, where he had an affair with a young French girl. She became pregnant with his child.
Oh, positively scandalous.
Hmm. So we have an ad break coming shortly.
Bloody shame it was about General Armistead's death.
How touching, Shinwell. You're really grieved to see him pass on.
Well, sure, I had me money on him. I should have trusted me instincts and gone with one of the ladies.
Captain Jurgens doesn't seem to have had much of a following, even at 25 to 1.
Nah, that's just Booth Lacey and his cronies, and that's really a sentimental bet. You see, Jurgens is Lacey's uncle.
Hmm.
What did you discover, Watson? He wasn't in, Holmes, though his landlady suggested we might try the Red Bull Inn. The woman practically talked my ear off, went on and on about how Lacey constantly plays up to his uncle, Captain Jurgens.
All right.
I was wondering if you'd seen a Mr. Booth Lacey around here today.
Nope. Must be my lucky day.
Well, then, if it's your lucky day, why not spread some good cheer in the form of a pint and some food to that unfortunate chap standing outside your door? Poor bloke is missing an arm and a leg.
That poor bloke's your one and only Booth Lacey. Well, the whole thing's an act. He's as normal as you and me. Spends half his time begging out front and the other half swindling folks down at London Bridge Station.
Hmm. Hmm. Let's see how short this is.
I was wondering, Father, if you happen to know a man by the name of Booth Lacey.
I should say that I do. I see him every morning.
At Vespers?
Wish that it were. No, at our soup kitchen. We can pray for the unfortunates of this world, certainly, but we can also offer them a little sustenance of a more nourishing kind. Every morning at 9:30, our doors are thrown open to those less privileged than ourselves. And every morning, without fail, Booth Lacey is here.
You're certain of that?
I am. You see, with only one arm, he needs someone to carry his bowl to the table. Invariably, I am that someone.
All right. All right, the ads are about to start, so when they do, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Go stretch your legs, add some water, and we'll be back to figure things out. All right. Let's see. Welcome back, and thank you for the big rhapsody. Excuse me. He eats very good.
Spent over a year quartered together in France in War College. We became the best of friends.
Did you know much of the General's personal life at the time?
Ah, he always put the rest of us to shame in the matters of love. Said it was because we had no horse face to spur us on.
Did the General have a passion for horses?
Mon Dieu, no. He was engaged to a terribly unattractive woman by the name of Mary Fitch. Behind her back, that's what he called her. Horseface.
How dreadful.
Whatever became of her? She eventually became Mrs. Armstead and brought her great fortune to the marriage. I believe that Farney looked upon his stay in France as his last great fling.
Are you saying that there was no particular woman at the time?
I did not say that. There was one, but I never met her. My little flower, he called her. I remember one night he could not sleep. He was slightly drunk, and he kept rambling on about promises that must be kept and promises that couldn't be. Finally, he collapsed on the bed with such sadness in his eyes I will never forget it. Ma Fleurette, he said. How very touching.
Have you seen much of the General over the years?
We have always maintained our friendship through correspondence, until last week, that is. It was the first time we had seen each other in over 40 years. We had supper, and then went to see the French actor Philippe Arnaud perform. The General commented that my presence beside him while French was being spoken reminded him of the old days.
So your visit went well?
Exceedingly well.
Can you think of anything that might have been troubling him?
No, the General was in excellent spirits. He joked about the upcoming Tontine celebration at the Langham, and he was very enthusiastic about the new information concerning the Polar Star. In fact, this week he was supposed to meet with a countryman of mine about it. It is hard to believe that my good friend is gone.
Hmm. Let's see. Can we go to the theater?
Ah, but you must see Philippe perform. My nephew's an artist.
Oops. Shoot. I hit the wrong button.
Ah, but you must see Philippe perform. My nephew's an artist, a wonder. He manages to portray the Emperor Napoleon from age 19 until his last days on the island of Savarnay. You would swear 5 different actors playing the part, but no, it is only Philippe aging before your eyes. At 48, he's the toast of the continent.
You seem rather young to be the uncle of a 48-year-old man.
I am but 8 years older than Philippe, though I can assure you I am his uncle. You might say that our family has a history of late arrivals. Philippe's father was 25 years older than myself, and Philippe's poor sister was 15 years older than he.
Why do you say poor?
She died many years ago under tragic circumstances. In fact, her mother was so upset over her daughter's death that she was put into an asylum.
We received word yesterday from the asylum that she had also passed away. It upset Philippe very much, resurrecting old ghosts, as you might say. But we have been playing for enthusiastic audiences for several weeks. As we say in the business, the show must go on. And Philippe is a trooper. He would never allow it to affect his performance.
Can you tell us where Philippe Arnaud is this morning? We should like very much to meet him.
Well, he is not here now. Our company is staying at the Grand Hotel. However, I believe today he is visiting the National Gallery. But if you would come back this evening, I will have tickets awaiting, and after the show, you're welcome to come backstage and meet him.
All right. Well, let's try going to the Grand Hotel. Oh. Hotel.
How fortunate that Inspector Lestrade authorized the hotel manager to allow us to search Philippe Arnaud's room.
Perhaps we can return the favor and solve a case for him someday. Today, for example. Let's look around.
How strange that a man who requires a cane would leave without it.
Perhaps he doesn't require it for walking.
Look here at the handle. Well, that could certainly give a fellow a start.
Precisely, Watson. Look here. It appears to be a letter.
Looks quite old. It's addressed to Captain Armstead, 12th Hussars. Shall I read it?
Please do.
Dearest, how I hated you for leaving me, but the child, our child, eased my heartache and muted the hate. Now my sweet baby is dead. How cruel that the innocent must suffer for the sins of others. Now I have nothing. Now I am nothing. I cannot bear the pain. Goodbye, I love you still, Fleurette. How tragic.
Officer.
Why, perhaps this is the very letter that the General read.
Good thinking, Watson.
That also seems kind of suspect.
I'm a nice man.
I don't know if that Easter egg has come up yet, but there we go. Okay. All right.
Count Rostov, Watson.
Count Rostov, Holmes?
According to the woman at the embassy, he is the only Russian national who has arrived in London in the past few days.
But how will we find him?
He's staying at De Kaiser's Royal Hotel.
However did you deduce that, Holmes?
Elementary, my dear Watson. I asked.
Okay. Nope, not the Grand.
Are you from the police?
Were you expecting the police?
I was. My valet, Vladimir, reported to me that his interview with Pierre Matin was decidedly unproductive, as he was dead when Vladimir arrived.
I see. Tell me, why did he go to see Matin in the first place?
It was in reference to a certain valuable possession of mine that was stolen some years ago by Pierre's brother, André. I was in Paris, and I read in the London Times that General Armstead was to revise his very interesting book to include a chapter concerning that possession. Originally, I came here to visit him.
Then how did you discover Matin's whereabouts?
Shall we say, someone made me aware that Matin was also in London, that he was the general source of information. But when the General Armstead was reported dead, I had no other alternative but to pay a call on Matin. So I sent Vladimir, an old man's legs, you understand, to speak with him.
Hmm. I know we tried, but
I've rung the bell a half-dozen times and no one has come to the door.
Really, Watson? Next time I would appreciate it if you would thoroughly research your leads before you ask.
I wonder if we can go to trial yet.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Queen's Court stands in order. I see we have the pleasure of your company today, Mr. Holmes. I understand you've been investigating the murder of General Farnsworth Armstead.
That's correct, my lord, and I believe I have solved the case.
Do you now? Well, then tell me, who murdered the general?
I believe we're to choose from either our notebook or the directory, Holmes.
As usual, Watson?
All right, so this is going to be Philip Arnaud.
A brilliantly logical deduction, Holmes.
Thank you, my lord.
Now tell us, why was the general killed?
Okay. Let's see. It would be to, yeah, the Avenging Honor.
Now tell me, gentlemen, what was the general trying to say when he turned around the figure of Napoleon?
Yes.
Rather clever of the old boy now, wasn't it?
Indubitably. A man who keeps his wits about him to the last has my undying admiration.
I was wondering, just for the record, could you tell us what the general used to call his wife?
Why is this a part of the trial?
Congratulations, gentlemen. This was a difficult case.
On the contrary, my lord, it was elementary.
That's what you think. Nonetheless, the good people of London are forever in your debt. We thank you.
My pleasure, my lord.
Okay. Also, a lot of that case just kind of came out at the end.
My word, dear Holmes. Perhaps we are in the wrong business altogether. If we had been top-notch, we should have cracked this case in 26 points. I think I will ring up the university immediately and see if we might enroll in a detective course.
Heaven forbid you be thorough. All right.
You say you've come up with a solution, and yet you sit there calmly cleaning your meerschaum. Please, Holmes, tell me what you've uncovered.
Of course, Watson. It's quite simple, really. The most intriguing fact about this murder was the method. Mr. Sennett's report that he heard the distinct sound of swordplay struck me as most odd. It suggested an affair of honor. At General Armstead's home, my suspicions were confirmed. The old letter addressed to Captain Armstead, a rank he'd held some 40 years ago, suggested that it must have concerned something from the past, something that was clearly upsetting to him. That was the reason for the duel.
But how can you be so sure there was a duel?
Simple reasoning, my dear Watson. The general had time to place his chair against the wall, climb upon it, and retrieve a saber. The murderer allowed him to arm himself. A duel is the only event that fits with the facts.
Are you sure the caller carried a sword? I thought all he had with him was a carpet bag and a cane.
Perhaps it only appeared to be a cane.
Ah, yes.
The intruder was described as an old man, yet he left the premises over an 8-foot wall. Clearly he was in disguise and carried off the ruse with enough expertise to completely fool the general's manservant. The carpet bag must have been used as the receptacle of the disguise when it was no longer needed.
Positively clever of you, Holmes. But what made you think it was Arnaud?
Well, since we were looking for someone adept at the art of disguise, Gerard's mention of the actor Philippe Arnaud struck a chord. Also, Arnaud plays Napoleon. No small coincidence.
What are you getting at, Holmes?
When the general turned round at the figure of Napoleon, he was trying to tell us that his murderer was Napoleon, or rather the actor playing Napoleon, Philippe Arnaud.
So Arnaud killed the general to avenge his long-dead sister's honor. Ah, well, unlike most of our cases, this motive was closer to the heart than to the pocketbook.
Quite so, Watson. When Arnaud's sister Fleurette was an impressionable young girl, she fell madly in love with the dashing English captain. When he left, she took her own life.
So pathetic.
Wait, there's more. Fleurette's grief-stricken mother went mad and was sent into an asylum. Thus, in the twinkling of an eye, little Philippe Arnaud, who was but a child himself, lost both his mother and his sister.
It's so sad. I'm sure he was too young to understand the circumstances that caused it.
Yes, but 4 decades later it all became clear when he found a letter written by his sister. It yielded an explanation and a name. Armstead. He came to London armed with that letter and a sword cane.
But he was here for several weeks before he did the deed.
Yes, and he might not have done it at all had it not been for the news of his mother's death. That was the final blow. He went straight away to the general's home to take his revenge. Voila.
Positively brilliant, Holmes. How do you do it?
With his pipe cleaner, of course.
Okay. That one kind of ended very abruptly. But yes, that is the Tin Soldiers. So, the Mystified Murderess is the last one. However, we're going to use a different version of this game for this. Give me 1 second. Because I have become aware of something. Give me 1 sec. So, as it turns out, you can get these games on Steam now. Or you can get this game on Steam now, rather. Except it's in a weird way. For some reason, I don't know why, you get each of the game, like each case is its own game. and each of them are $4 a piece. I don't know why they did it like that. But I believe they have the stuff from volumes 1 and 2. But you can now play this game with a mouse. And even nicer, this has subtitles. So before we start, as you would expect, I believe this release comes from 2015. Naturally, the video quality is going to be, let's just say, slightly different.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls trying to survive, mostly off of each other. You see it in the paper every day. Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye and razor-sharp accuracy. We find this publication to be of invaluable assistance in our investigations, and I'm sure you will as well. Among the forces of evil which run rampant in this city, there are also, thankfully, 2 groups of individuals who will aid us in our cause. As we do, they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London. The first of these groups is a ragtag association of young ruffians. I call them the Baker Street Irregulars. Don't let them fool you. They may be scruffy and ill-bred, but they are on the right side of the law. They can go everywhere, see everything, and overhear everyone. They are my eyes and ears in the streets of London, unquestionably a tremendous asset in our work. They will help us in our investigations if they can. The other group is a far more civilized collection of gentlemen and institutions. I call them the Baker Street Regulars. They, too, will be extremely useful in our work. At the start of any investigation, do keep in mind that it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Unwittingly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. The people and places to whom I will now introduce you will help us to collect the facts. May we use them wisely. Come, the game's afoot.
All right.
London.
Oh. Okay, let's start. See within the city rooms going on Baker Street.
Society burglar strikes again. Series of burglaries. 6 over the period from June 2nd to June 17th. On July 2nd, the 7th occurred at the home of Sir Sanford Leeds. Cleopatra tiara stolen, it says. As in the other cases, no sign of extensive search by the thief, and only 1 piece of jewelry involved. Victims elsewhere at the time. Here's a complete list of the particulars, Holmes, if you'd care to read it.
I believe you'll find him in the study.
How do you do, gentlemen? I am Gerald Locke.
Please be seated, Mr. Locke. How can we be of service?
3 days ago, Guy Clarendon was found murdered at Halliday's. It's preposterous, but Miss Frances Nolan has been charged and is being detained at the criminal court, Old Bailey.
Frances Nolan. Ah, yes. Sister of Loretta Nolan. Only surviving heirs of Sir Malcolm Nolan, founder of the Aberdeen Navigation Company.
I seem to recall that Sir Malcolm and Lady Nolan were killed when some lunatic threw a bomb into their carriage. It seems to me that later I heard something about it being a case of mistaken identity. Wasn't one of their little offspring in the carriage with them at the time?
Yes, it was Loretta, Frances's sister. She was only 4. Miraculously, she was uninjured.
Mr. Locke, I've heard that you are a suitor for Miss Frances Nolan's hand, are you not?
Yes.
And was it not also true that she was being courted by Guy Clarendon?
Unfortunately, yes.
Have you any idea why Frances Nolan was charged with the crime?
Well, she was discovered over the body with a pistol in her hand.
That would do it.
But you don't understand. Frances is totally incapable of murder, not even of a scoundrel such as Guy Clarendon.
Scoundrel? But he's from such blue blood. Also, if I'm not mistaken, he's an accomplished batsman for the West London Cricketers, a ranked fencer in international competition.
He was also a bit of a bounder, Watson.
What an understatement. Guy Clarendon was excessively fond of cards and strong drink. His father had all but disinherited him. I tried to tell Frances that Clarendon was no good, but to no avail. And now look at the mess she's in. Will you help?
Most certainly.
All right. Wait. Okay. Let's see. Not sure what I want to do in Notebook. Oh, good. This is nice. Got clear. Oh, this is something new. Okay. Oh, here we go.
You're quite sure the murder weapon was a small caliber pistol?
Quite. I'd also wager to say he'd been shot at very close range.
Ghastly.
Tell us, Sir Jasper, at what time did you receive the body?
Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And how much time would you judge to have elapsed from the time of the murder?
Well, it's always difficult to be precise in these matters, but I'd venture to say he'd been dead anywhere from 4 to 10 hours.
You're quite...
Wait, what's the point of free play then? Okay, let's try...
I say, excuse me, Dr. Murray.
Hello, what?
Oh, I must have dozed off. Ah, it's you, Whitson. And what are you doing with yourself this afternoon? Or is it evening already? Have I missed my tea?
It's Watson, sir. We're looking into the Clarendon case, and we were wondering...
Clarendon! Ah, I just finished that report when I dozed off. Let me see. Number 301, I believe. Ah, yes. Here it is. Number 103. Clarendon, Guy. Not much, I'm afraid. A hole in the shirt where a small caliber bullet passed into the body. Extensive blood stains. Powder burns indicating a close-range shot. Ah, here's something interesting. On the lower part of the shirt, I found traces of alcohol. Wine, to be exact. Now, I have a good nose for this sort of thing, and I believe it to be an inferior quality Italian red.
Okay. Okay, you're the...
It appears as though Guy and Loretta, the terrible twins, will afflict us no more. Loretta must be desolate, what with the loss of a kindred spirit and fellow prankster.
Prankster?
Well, yes, my good fellow. I'll never forget the time Clarendon poured champagne down the front of Lady Leeds's new Paris gown for the sole purpose of Loretta's amusement.
I would think she must also be distraught at the loss of her lover, not to mention the imprisonment of her sister.
Well, I'm not sure about Loretta's feelings toward her sister, but I do know that Guy and Loretta were not lovers. Though outwardly they made an excellent couple. He, tall, handsome, and from a moneyed family, and she, beautiful, and an heiress in her own right. Yes, it would have been a match made in heaven. But it was a match made in far hotter regions, I suspect.
Francis claims that she and Clarendon were engaged to be married.
Well, that's hard to imagine him being who he is. Or was, as it were.
Why do you say that?
Well, Guy Clarendon was not at all a desirable sort. He'd all but been disowned by his own father for his compulsive gambling. The utter disregard for other people's money is probably what drew Clarendon and Loretta Nolan together in the first place. After all, she had managed to fritter away almost her entire fortune, unlike her sister Frances, who still had her inheritance, if not her honor, intact.
Oh, that explains it. What are you driving at, Holmes?
From all I've heard of Clarendon, I suspect his interest in Frances was directed toward her sizable bank account.
Hmm. Okay. Those franchises. Oh, I wonder if actually can now. Oh, good. It just lists everything. Oh, that's really good.
Well, the Clarendon murders look fairly open and shut, if you ask me. Not your typical murderers, I admit, but there you have it.
Hmm. Oops. What is that achievement? I found a key clue, apparently.
I understand that Wilfred Robards is considering taking Miss Nolan's case. He might be able to help you. If you'd like, I can arrange an interview with Frances Nolan. She's being held downstairs, you know.
We might be able to help you, Miss Nolan, if you could just remember what happened that night in Mr. Clarendon's room.
Well, that's just the trouble. I can't remember anything except seeing Guy's body across the room and the pistol in my hand.
Where did you get the pistol?
I've no idea, though the police assure me it's mine. I didn't know Guy was at Halliday's. I've never even been there before. And why would I shoot him anyway? We loved each other.
There, Miss Nolan. Stiff upper lip.
Thank you.
Miss Nolan, what is the last thing you remember before the room at Halliday's?
Oh, hot cocoa in bed.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, well, every night before I retire, my maid, Grace, brings me a cup of hot cocoa.
How nice.
Yes.
And before that?
Well, before that, I dine with Dr. Trevelyan, as I do every Sunday evening. My sister Loretta is under his care. The doctor and I have become good friends over the years. He left at 10 o'clock, as he always does.
May I ask, where did you first meet Guy Clarendon?
At the country estate of Cornelius Oldwine, in March. My sister Loretta was attending a party there. I suppose things got a bit out of hand because it seems she dived into a fountain. She caught pneumonia and I had to go and fetch her home. Guy was also at the estate, and that's where we met.
And he immediately began paying court to you?
Oh, heavens, no. Nobody seems to take much notice of me. I suppose that comes from having such a wildly attractive sister. That's why I was so surprised when he called a few weeks later. We began seeing a great deal of each other. We went on long carriage rides, had picnic lunches. It was all quite lovely. And then on the 5th of June, he declared his love for me and asked for my hand in marriage. I was so happy. I couldn't have killed him. him.
How do you explain your presence at Halliday's?
Well, I can't. It's just like the other 2 times.
You've had memory losses before.
Yes, twice in the past month. The first time I found myself atop a horse in Hyde Park, with no recollection of how I got there. The last thing I remember was having lunch with my sister Loretta. Then there I was, atop a chestnut mare.
How peculiar.
The funny thing is, I'm terrified of horses.
You mentioned there was a second time.
Yes, a few days later, I met with my solicitor, Hiram Davenport. Then the next thing I know, I'm at the Newgate Street station. I consulted my physician, Dr. Mason, and he was quite as baffled as I was.
One last question, if you will. What is your relationship with Gerald Locke?
Oh, Jerry. He's a dear old friend. Though I'm afraid we had a falling out of late. He said some very unkind words about Guy.
Okay. Well, let's go.
We have just a few more questions for you, Mr. Locke, if you don't mind.
Of course not. Anything to help Francis.
We were wondering if you could shed some light on Miss Frances' relationship with Guy Clarendon.
He was only after her money. I tried to tell Frances as much, but she wouldn't hear of it. We had a bit of a row over it. I've been quite upset about the whole thing.
Upset enough to commit murder?
What an outrageous accusation.
There's only a question, Mr. Locke.
Preposterous. Besides, I've been on holiday all week, playing cribbage at the annual tournament up at Leeds.
Sounds positively riveting.
Oh, it was.
Trying to think, because there's not a really good IMDb like list of like the actors from this. Let's see. Let's go talk to Dr. Mason then.
Tell us, Dr. Mason, have you determined the cause of Frances Nolan's blackouts?
It's the strangest thing, really. I examined her thoroughly and found nothing physically wrong. She could not recall receiving a bump in the head, nor did she complain of dizziness. All I could suggest that was perhaps she was overtired and prescribed rest. It remains a complete mystery to me.
Hmm.
Sure, I remember Clarendon. He and his lady friend used to stop in here from time to time, usually on their way to Kilgore's gaming parlor or coming back from it. Rumor has it, Clarendon was into Kilgore for a sizable sum.
Do you happen to know how much?
£7,000 was the figure I heard. Got to the point Kilgore wouldn't allow him in the door. Clarendon made a big fuss till Gus Bullock stepped in. Clarendon backed down pretty quick. Don't blame him none. Nobody in their right mind would want to mess with the likes of Gus.
Do you think Bullock was involved in the murder?
Nothing you could tell me about that bloke would surprise me. Anyways, Kilgore makes it clear to Clarendon that he wants his money. Then, a month or so later, Clarendon comes in all smiles, and he and Kilgore getting on like chums. Figure Clarendon must have paid him back. Then, Calvin Leach steps into the picture.
Now, who's Calvin Leach?
Leach deals in what you might call stolen property. Square dealer, too. Give you one half the value of the article.
What does Leach have to do with Clarendon and Kilgore?
Usually nothing at all. But there it is. Leach, Kilgore, and Clarendon meeting late at night just as thick as thieves. The meetings continued on right up to, well, the night before Clarendon's death.
Very interesting.
Now, we've been standing here jawing, and I don't recall hearing anybody order nothing. What'll it be, mate?
The one thing about this being on a higher fidelity video, you could really, the green screen is intense. Okay, so Kilgore.
Any luck?
Yes and no.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, Kilgore has met Clarendon once or twice, but no, he insists he's never heard of Calvin Leach.
And you believed him?
All right.
What did you learn of Calvin Leach?
I think Porky Shinwell said it all.
Did you ask Leach about Clarendon?
Yes.
What did he say, Watson?
Oh, yes, of course. He said he'd never heard of him.
All right, I think it's time for the irregulars. Right. Oh, you need a power to get in. Let's see if we can see anything in the Times. I see Society Burglar. MTR.
The tiara was a terribly valuable piece of jewelry, and it meant so much to my wife. She has been under a doctor's care since the theft. In fact, just yesterday she took a room at the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is she prone to bouts of nervousness?
Perhaps lately it seems so.
Jeez.
She was absolutely undone when young Clarendon poured champagne down the borders of her gown at Richmond's party. Come to think of it, that was the last time she wore her tiara. She was so proud of it. And several of the ladies at that party admired it openly.
Where did Lady Leeds keep the tiara when she wasn't wearing it?
In the bottom drawer of her bureau, where she kept some of her more frilly undergarments.
Were there any signs of a search? Drawers left open, that sort of thing?
No, and that's what strikes me as so peculiar. It's as if the burglar knew right where to look.
Interesting. Let's see, Judd.
My husband, God rest his soul, gave me that necklace for our 50th wedding anniversary. And woe betide the blighter that took it, I say.
I can certainly understand your consternation, madam. May I assume that you were out the evening it was taken?
Oh, yes, the house was completely empty. Sybil, my housekeeper, and I were attending the masked charity ball at St. Mary's for the benefit of unwed mothers. It wouldn't surprise me if that scoundrel was responsible in that direction as well. Society burglar, indeed. He's of the lower classes, mark my words.
Do you keep your jewels locked up?
Oh, I keep them in a very secret place. A box made to look like a copy of Great Expectations on the bookshelf amidst the other books. Hiram, my late husband, thought of that. But the thief went right to it.
Well, it was an unfortunate event, but to tell you the truth, to me it was a mere bauble, a trinket. I had it replaced for my wife the very next day.
And nothing else was stolen?
Not a thing, and it appeared there'd been no search.
My wife and I were guests at a small dinner party at the home of Otis Richmond. We arrived home sometime after midnight, and as my wife was putting away her finery, she noticed the bracelet was missing from her jewelry box, and we summoned the police immediately.
The servants were questioned?
Oh, they've all been with us for a number of years, and I haven't the slightest suspicion about them. But yes, the police did question them thoroughly. All were in bed asleep by the time we arrived home, and none heard anything untoward.
And nothing else was taken?
Surprisingly not.
Yet you're positive that the bracelet has not simply been misplaced?
No, my wife actually put it on while she was preparing for the evening, and then she decided against it. I saw her put it back in the box.
Where does she keep the box?
In her dressing table, there's a special compartment in the side of it. The box fits in rather neatly.
So, all the stuff were very specifically made for storage.
At first, I thought it must have been one of the servants. After all, there was no sign of a search, and nothing else was disturbed.
Did you question them?
Thoroughly, but none of them would admit a thing. It really wasn't until Hardinge and Bessie Durth were robbed, and the newspapers referred to us as victims of the society burglar, that I was certain it wasn't any of my staff. By the way, can you recommend a good housekeeper and valet?
Okay.
It's all quite upsetting, you know. The pendant belonged to my great-great-grandmother, and I was hoping to pass it on to my daughter. And now it's gone.
There, Mrs. Judd, you mustn't worry. With Holmes and I on the case, we're sure to recover your pendant. By the way, where did you keep it when you weren't wearing it?
In the toe of my old black button-ups, and I don't recall ever having mentioned that to anyone. Or at least I don't think I did.
Hmm. Yep.
This is a difficult thing for a man to say about his only son. But Guy was a wastrel and a ne'er-do-well. Only a short month or so ago, I gave him £5,000 and told him that was the last he'd see of my money. I'd hoped the shock would bring the boy around, make him realize he had to settle down, instead of wasting his life on gambling and gallivanting around with that wild woman.
Which wild woman was that?
Loretta Nolan, of course.
You mentioned gambling, Sir Francis. Have you any idea with whom he gambled or who might have wanted to kill him?
I wish I did. He told us nothing. He only came around when he needed money. And when I told him there'd be no more, we never saw him. Just about broke his mother's heart. There, Gertie. We still have one another.
I've something you ought to know about Master Guy. One morning, rather early, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I heard a terrible clatter downstairs, so I came down to investigate. It was Master Guy just coming home. He was in a terrible state, all battered and bruised, with a fresh cut on his forehead. I asked him who did it to him, and he wouldn't say. I think he was afraid for his life.
Hmm.
Clarendon, poor chap. He arrived on the 29th day of May and was given a front room on the 3rd floor. 2 days later, he asked to be moved to suite 205.
To your knowledge, did he have any visitors?
Only 2 that I'm aware of. One was a most disagreeable fellow. He was rather large, had a thick walrus moustache, and a very prominent scar down his cheek. He arrived on the 1st of June, the very day of Mr. Clarendon's move. He simply came in, sat down in the lobby, and waited. 20 minutes or so later, Mr. Clarendon came down from his room. The big man yanked him aside. I was about to send for a bobby when Mr. Clarendon signed me that all was well. After a few minutes, they left together. I never saw the man again. His other visitor, who came by quite frequently, was a most striking woman. She was quite fashionably dressed. She had a most distinctive laugh, very full and deep. I've no idea who she was.
Please, tell us about the morning of July 2nd.
It was about 9 o'clock when a woman entered. She was rather plain-looking, and I wouldn't have noticed her, except for the fact that she came in the front door, looking neither left nor right, and proceeded directly up the staircase. It couldn't have been more than 30 seconds later when I heard a bang, followed by a woman's scream. I dashed upstairs to the 2nd floor. The door to room 205 was open. Inside, I found the body of Mr. Clarendon and the woman who'd just come up. She was lying in a swoon in the center of the room with a pistol in her hand. I revived her with some whiskey. When she came to, she was totally disoriented. She had no idea where she was or what she'd done. When she saw Clarendon's body, she let out a shriek and dropped the pistol. I summoned the police.
Tell me, at what hour are the hotel's front doors locked?
Oh, 10 o'clock, sir. Anyone who arrives after that has to be let in by the night staff. Of course, Mr. Clarendon was never one of those. He was always in his room before 10.
May we see his room? What have we here, Watson? It appears to be a bank statement.
Look here, Holmes. It appears the maid missed a spot in her sweeping.
Good thing she did, Watson. You're staring at evidence.
Blood.
What's this stain here?
Welcome back.
Smells like a fine sherry. Looks like someone's been celebrating.
The question is, was it with the body or over it?
Nothing much here. A couple of shirts and 3 pair of shoes.
But what you failed to notice, my dear Watson, is that one of the pairs of shoes is canvas and has been dyed black.
Interesting.
A sweater and trousers. An ensemble in black.
Not much of a view. All I can see is a brick wall of the building across the alley.
Ivy vines winding up a trellis.
All right. Well, good timing on that because the ads are about to play. We'll be back when they start in about 3 minutes. And we will continue figuring out what's going on. Yeah, that's the weird thing. You can get them together for $10, but it's like, I just want the one for now. All right, be right back. One day I will remember not to get Mike and Ike's as a snack. All right. Hmm. Let's try going to... Let's see, can we go back to her house?
Tell us, who was at home on the evening of the 1st?
Well, just Miss Frances, sir. Oh, yes, of course, and Dr. Trevelyan.
What time did the doctor take his leave?
Oh, let me think. It must have been 10 o'clock, because that's what time he always leaves.
What did Miss Frances do after her guest left?
What she does every evening, sir. Well, she asked for a cup of hot cocoa, which I brought her straight away. Then she read for a bit by the fire. Later, when I went up to bed, I passed her room, and the light went out.
What time would that have been?
Oh, let me see. Oh, I know it was 11:30, because the clock chimed. Then I went to sleep. Later, I was awakened in the middle of the night, right in the midst of the most peculiar dream. You see, I was barefoot and trying to buy a pair of shoes,
As fascinating as all this is, could we get back to what it was that awakened you?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, it was something that I heard, or thought I heard. I listened for a bit, but that was the end of it, so I went to sleep again. Later, I awoke at 7:30. I always wake up at 7:30, except, of course, on Sundays when I sleep until 8. As usual, I began to prepare Miss Frances's breakfast. I had no sooner got into the kitchen when I heard the front door open and close. Well, I ran to the front window and peeked out, and there was Miss Frances walking down the street.
And why do you deem that so unusual?
Well, she never leaves before she's eaten one of my currant buns.
Hmm.
Enter and be recognized. Oh, you don't wish to play Her Majesty, eh? Very well.
You do not seem particularly disturbed by the recent turn of events, Miss Nolan.
Each of us grieves in his own way, Mr. Holmes.
It must be difficult for you to face the possibility that your own sister may have killed your dearest chum.
Guy was fun to be with. And as for Frances, I love her dearly, but, well, it's funny to think Miss Right and Proper has finally gotten herself into a bit of a jam.
Miss Nolan, may I ask, when was the last time you saw Guy Clarendon?
Let me think. I believe it was the Richmond's party last Thursday. Yes, I'm sure of it. God, we did cut it up a bit there.
And after the party?
We did not go home together, if that's what you're implying. That would have broken Frances's heart. She was head over heels for Guy, you know. She had some foolish notion that he was going to marry her. Not that someone like him ever would. But I do recall her saying, and it might have been the night of his death, that she was going to have a talk with him about their future.
Hmm. Did we talk to the doctor? But apparently not.
Doctor, we understand that you dined with Frances Nolan on the evening of July 1st.
Yes, that is correct. We dine every Sunday. Her sister Loretta has been under my care for some 10 years. First at the Mesmer Braid Institute and then in private practice.
Without breaching physician-patient protocol, would you mind telling us the nature of her illness?
She never quite recovered from the overwhelming trauma of watching her parents being blown to bits.
What?
Quite understand.
As is often the case with young orphans, they tend to create fantasies about their parents. Miss Loretta Nolan truly believes that her father was the King of England, making her a princess.
Do you think her unconventional behavior stems from that fantasy?
Absolutely. As a princess, she believes she can do no wrong. I must say that she's worlds apart from her sister Frances.
Do you know Frances Nolan well?
Yes, rather. Through my treatment of her sister, I've known her for years. Let me say that it is difficult to believe that Miss Frances is capable of murder. She has a quiet, unassuming personality. An act of such direct confrontation would not be at all in keeping with her character.
Were Loretta and Frances close?
I know without a doubt that Miss Frances loves and cares for her sister almost as a parent would a child. Miss Loretta, well, she loves her sister as much as she is capable of love.
Okay. Sure. It's real, like, trauma-based delusion is like a media trope. Yes. I thinking you're a princess because your parents blew up from TNT is certainly I just like the casualness of no, they just blew the hell up. Like they got like Wile E. Coyote blew up with a stick of dynamite. Ugh. Okay, warehouse. What was the? Let's see. Richmond.
At first, I thought it must have
Oh,
been...
it's this bitch. Okay. Let's see. Is there any names here? Um, oh, still at large. Um, Oldenburg. Hmm. I wonder, let's see. This says this. Okay, is there anything else with... Anti-burglaries. Hold on. Okay. Hmm. What does... Trying to think of something. Actually, I'm curious. What does this do? Okay, so these just have no... I think this is the person that...
Poor old guy. He could be such fun. I'll never forget what a jolly good time we had the night he climbed the fountain at my country estate.
How acrobatic.
You don't know the half of it. It all started with Loretta. It seemed those things always did. Anyway, someone dared her to jump into the fountain. It being March and quite chilly, no one actually thought she would. She did them on better. She jumped straight in and swam to the center, where I have this absolutely dreadful sculpture of a lot of fat water nymphs. It rises some 20 or 30 feet in the air. She climbed it, though. The woman must be part monkey. Then she dove in. After that, it seemed to be the thing to do, so everybody took the plunge. I was the only other one who actually climbed to the top of the fountain, though. By the end of the weekend, half my guests came down with sneezes. Loretta caught pneumonia.
Hmm. Okay.
Who are you and what do you want? Dr. John Watson, sir. I wondered if you might be kind enough to answer a few questions.
About what?
Guy Clarendon.
That welching little weasel, what about him?
He's been murdered.
Ah! I'd say he got what he deserved. And if you don't clear out of here in 2 seconds, so will you.
Oh, quite. Ta-ta.
Hmm.
Do you remember a woman who came in recently and purchased a Derringer?
Oh, matter of fact, I do, sir. We don't get women in here very often, especially not alone. And I particularly remember that one because she was so pretty and, she looked like she really knew how to have a good time, if you'll pardon the expression.
Do you remember her name?
I should say I do. She repeated it twice whilst I was filling out the order form. Seems like it was very important to her that I get her name right.
let me see, it was Francis, no, less, well, it was Francis something or other, sir.
Hmm. So what does this do? Oh, it's that. Oop. That was the wrong button. Uh-oh. Well, guess what we get to do? That's our... Oh. Okay, good. It does save us.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Queen's Court now stands in order. Hear ye. Mr. Holmes, I understand you've been looking into the murder of Guy Clarendon.
That is correct, my lord.
Would you be so kind as to tell the court who killed Mr. Clarendon?
Certainly, my lord.
That would be the sister.
I see. And what was Loretta Nolan's motive for killing Mr. Clarendon?
Hmm.
Greed, pure and simple. Now, have you determined why Francis Nolan went to Halliday's?
I have, my lord.
Please inform the court.
Also, I like the fact that they are not spelling the name consistent.
Terribly sorry. Mr. Holmes, I understand you've been looking into the murder of Guy Clarendon.
That is correct.
I see. And what was greed, pure and simple. Now, have you determined why Francis Nolan went to Halliday's?
I have, my lord.
Please inform. Not a sisterly thing to do at all. Is there anything else you wish to report to the court?
Yes, my lord. I believe we've also solved the case of the society burglar.
You don't. Guy Clarendon was straight from the upper crust. Why ever would he turn to a life of crime? Well, you've done an admirable job in resolving this mystery. I'd say you're on a par with just about any other armchair detective out there. I would suggest, however, that you rethink this case again, thereby improving your sleuthing skills.
Wait.
My word, dear Holmes. Perhaps we are in the wrong business altogether. If we had been top-notch, we should have cracked this case in less points. I think I'll ring up the university immediately and see if we might...
Okay. Let's see, what is it that you do to get... It didn't. Okay. Hmm.
Mr. Clarendon appears to be a frequent depositor.
Yes, but it looks as if he's afraid the money will burn a hole in his bank book if he leaves it in too long.
So, sorry to have kept you waiting, gentlemen. I assume you are...
Mr. Holmes, I understand you've been looking into the murder of Guy Clarendon.
That is correct, my lord.
I see. And what was Loretta Nolan's motive for killing? Ah, greed. Pure and not a sisterly thing to do at all. Terribly...
Oops.
Hear ye...
Oh, wait, actually, that doesn't even get... That's not going to get...
Mr. Holmes, I understand you've been looking into the murder of Guy Clarendon.
That is correct, my lord.
I see. And what... Ah, greed. Not a sisterly thing to do at all. Is there anything else you wish to report to the... Guy Clarendon was straight from the upper crust. Why? Well done. I applaud your deductive skills. You will make a fine detective for Scotland Yard one day. However, you will have to do much better if you wish to match the sleuthing expertise of Mr. Holmes.
Excellent job.
Well, Watson, we should be very pleased with ourselves on this one.
Yes, indeed.
I broke the game. Whoops. Oh, well. Well, I think that's a good enough look at Sherlock Holmes consulting the detective. Because we solved all the cases of the first volume. So, I guess that just leaves us with this. Here. All right. Okie dokie. Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. This is CCI-2. This came out in 1991 by Icon Simulations. This is original. I don't know what the most platform for this is, so I'm just gonna say TurboGrafx CD. It's an adventure game technically, and it's technically based on a license. Even though it's not like a license, because it's public domain at that point. No, this I do not believe was on Laserdisc. This was exclusively CD. This one's a little hard to gauge because this game does something very specific that I don't know, because what it does, it's kind of the best of what it does. Because it's the only thing it does what it does. So unfortunately, I think this goes in the category, which is not it's not a satisfying thing to put it in, but I kind of have a feeling like this belongs right next to like Penn and Teller, Smoke and Mirrors. And like I don't really have any like critical thing to say because yeah, like some of this like the video on it's garbage if you're playing one of the original versions. But also it does what it does with video in such a way that it's almost better than most FMV games. Yeah, it's based on the book. Like, it's based on the game book. But yeah, I don't really got much to say about it. I mean, the acting's alright for the time. It's a game that I would argue that you could do it without FMV, but I don't think it's the FM Towns because that's a Japanese system and an American developer. I would likely assume, though I can't. That's possible, but it'd be weird. I wonder what does Moby Games say? I would imagine that this is DOS first. There's another Sega CD version and the TurboGrafx version, what made it popular. Let's see releases. CD TV, DOS, FM Towns. Yeah, that's the thing is like, yeah, I'm looking and it's a bunch of 1991 for a bunch of different platforms. TurboGrafx or the PC Engine CD versions 91 or July 91. CD version, weirdly enough, came out first in... No, that's never mind. I can't read. It looks like it's a DOS. I would assume it's a DOS release. But yeah. But it's also that one fun thing where, since it's FMV, it's basically the same game on different platforms. Oh. Anyway, whatever it is. I don't really got much else to say about it. It's a game that is what it is. It's not like... I kind of like they gotta hunt down information. Not a lot of games do that. At least in that way. And I think that's neat. But regardless, I kind of always wanted to see what it was. And now I have. So there. Mystery solved. Alright, well... There's that. So, naturally, after finishing this game, let us do a little bit of a palate cleanser. Let's do diversion. Oh, good. We haven't popped. This hasn't popped up in a while. So let's do some of this, and then I think we'll just... Yeah, because we'll see how long this takes. Okay. Okay. Day 15. Time to go to day 21. Oh. Oh, wait. Whoops, whoop, 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 whoop. You didn't miss anything. Good. Oh, shoot. I forgot to do... I was wondering why I was only doing capture card. There we go. Okay. Oh, good. Let's see, are we violence district? No, we are not. Oh, we're here again. Oh, it closes again by the time I get there. Ah, now we're in the violence district. Yep. It really likes this whole oh, hey, it's the violence district, but oh, okay. Okay. That's weird. Ah. Okay. Oh, I was in the weird spot and I backed up accidentally. The hell? Oh, hi. Wait, is this a passageway? right? Hmm. Hmm. Well, I don't know if you can win this game, but I don't know if you can lose it either. In any necro. Stop! What do you be here? Ooh, elephant. Oh, hey, it's a demon. Thank you. We're probably not going to be going for much longer. Oh, that's a good noise. Wait. Rat. What's that noise? Oh, it's Ferris wheel. All right. Okay. 2 more. Oh, hi. Later. I would consider that a downer, but you do you. Okay. And this. Perfect. All right. Well, there's another week in LSD. So I think we'll have enough to watch the intro for the next game. But I don't think we'll have enough time to really get into it. So, you don't get a choice in this because we got one game left. And this one's kind of interesting because I actually didn't realize the pedigree this game had. So for our next game that we're going to be taking a look at is I don't know why I put JB Murder Club, but JB Harold Murder Club. This is a game that is by River Hill Soft, who you might know more as the developers for the wonderful PlayStation horror game Overblood, which itself was a recreation of one of their earlier games for the 3DO called Dr. Hauser. Well, River Hill Soft got started with a game that originally came out in 1987 called Murder Club. That when it came out over here, it was renamed to JB Harold Murder Club. So let's look at the intro for this. And then I think we'll call it. Oh, there's the ads, actually. Here, I'll snooze the ads once. Died from excessive blood loss from excessive or hemorrhaging from a repeated stab to the back. Anderson. No.
Time the victim was found, 8:05 a.m. on the 9th. Location, the parking lot near the back entrance of Hoolington College, a suburb of Liberty. Victim, Bill Robbins, 34, president of Robbins Trading Company Limited. Cause of death, massive blood loss caused by multiple stab wounds to the back. Weapon, sharp object. Approximate time of death, 1 a.m. on the 8th. Thorough investigation is being conducted. Many problems are anticipated.
Okay. That brings us here. So we're going to probably next time go through that. I did want to showcase one thing interesting here. So if we go to this, which is our save and load screen, one interesting thing about this is that this game has has both the English and Japanese languages in here, not just for like text, but also like voice. The entire game is voiced in both Japanese and English on the same disc.
Hey, Harold. Do you intend to spend the rest of your life working on this case? Hurry up, will you? We're busy here. We got a lot of things to do in case you haven't noticed.
That's interesting. But anyway, I'm gonna shut this down here because we are running out of time. But one other thing to leave you with that,
check it out.
Thank you for the pets. That game is actually rather interesting because that River Hill Soft in this game is one of the first works of one Rika Suzuki, including this version. Rika Suzuki, you might be familiar with by other games that she's done, like say Another Code, Hotel Dusk, the other JB Harold games, and a few other things. That she has quite the resume, and we're going to see her first game. So, let's quick wrap this up before the ads run again. So, thank you all for watching. Personal Blue Skies at Lolo De Puzlo, Sky.social. Got a Discord where you can chat the community, take farm polls, and do other fun Discord stuff. That's at club.hazel.town. Our stream team runs a forum that's careertime.fun. It is a PHPVB board that you can post. It is a good place to be. I highly recommend you get an account there and talk about whatever you want. Anyway, if you're watching live, you can go to my YouTube channel, BeKindRewind.hazel.town, to go to watch past episodes at slightly higher quality. If you're watching the VODs, you can look at the schedule that you see on screen right now. Follow me at twitch.tv/Lolo De Puzlo, and you can get notified when we go live. Next streams are going to be next weekend. On Friday, we are continuing we're gonna finish up Super Metroid. Going back to that. On Saturday, we are going to be back with the Eden Coven to play. We're gonna start out with Toy Pop and play some other interesting competitive games or cooperative games. It depends on we'll see when we get there. And then on Sunday, we will start JB Harold Murder Club. And that'll be a good time. Is Reject still going? I think I saw Rejects going. Yes, Rejects is going. Okay, so I'm going to send you all over to Rejects. Say hi to them. I believe they're doing a Sonic thing. I don't know what. I believe it has Sonic and Shadow in it. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you again in the future. So bye-bye.